maybe in in Portuguese it's Rosa.
Rosa.
Rosa. Rosa. Rosa. She has a degree in physics from Pontificia Universidad Catalonia. Sorry, my Spanish is not good. De Sao Paulo. She has an MS degree in high energy and gravitation from the University of Lisbon, and a PhD in physics education from University of Coimbra. Coimbra is a very nice city. I visited last time. It's a very beautiful city. Rosa is currently the president of Nucleo. Nucleo is a non-profit organization. It is an NGO for development devoted to science, outreach, and education. At the international level, Rosa is the president of the Executive Council of the Global Hands on Universe Association. She's organizing this beautiful conference. She's vice president of the panel of education of COSPAR and co-coordinator of the Portuguese language Office of Astronomy for Development. So Rosa will be talking to us in, the title is Innovation in Education with Astronomy and Space Exploration. So the floor is yours, Rosa.
Thank you very much, Hassan. Indeed, I have the privilege of having good friends. Not everyone can say they have the friends I do have. Very precious. Nothing is more valuable than this. So yeah, I have always mixed feelings on what I should share and present. We are involved in so many different initiatives. But in fact, I started my journey as a physicist, and then I fell in love with black holes and started studying it, and was pursuing a career where I was going to be a black hole scientist. And it continues to be a passion to me. But at some point, we started, me and a group of colleagues who created Nucleo, we started looking at astronomy education and trying to help teachers with astronomy, because one thing is to know that children and humans in general are very much in love with astronomy. Another thing is to make sure that people do understand astronomical concepts, that they do understand what's the meaning of the different things they see in the sky and what's the importance of astronomy for us as humans. And to my horror and dismay, I discovered that teachers do not have this preparation. Universities usually don't prepare them for this. And we found a very important space, empty space, where we needed to help. And I discovered the world of education where so much help was necessary. And we found our niche, and we found that we were very good at what we were doing. We started becoming more and more famous, and people started looking for us for innovation. So we decided, okay, why not mix our passion for astronomy and space exploration with new trends for education. So if people know what works and what doesn't work, and if people know how it's the best way to facilitate learning and to have students really have the opportunity to do real research in classroom, why aren't we doing it? So that's something that's continue to puzzle me. I know a little bit more about why people aren't doing it, but still the answers that I find are really not very good. I mean, I think there's more there that people can do and are not doing. So this is what this talk is. It's a provoking talk where I'm going to introduce you to several things that we discovered along the way that really work very well, and that maybe you can consider adopting partially, totally, with innovation, with your mind. I mean, if you consider that there are probably no two planets are alike, or two stars, or two humans, why should we try to wrap up students in packages and try to format them to something that we call a successful person? So I start with some provoking slides. This one is showing the evolution in terms of technology. You see how supermarkets and phone, actually my first job was as a telephonist for Goodyear. And it was like that. I had this wires. Yeah, I'm that old. Wires trying to connect people to telephones or a medical facility. And you see how much this evolves, right? Right. So a supermarket doesn't resemble that. A phone center, that's not such a thing anymore because it's not necessary. And if you take a doctor that was frozen for 100 years and it would enter a surgery room right now, the doctor, she or he, wouldn't be able to perform an operation because so much has changed. And you turn that into school. And I don't have to continue the story. This is a horror picture. We continue to educate people as if nothing had changed in the planet, nothing at all. So we waste 22 years of life of students, and then they go to work and they have to start all over because they don't know anything they need to know in order to fulfill their task. The time we all had to invest to become very good at what we do right now, and I can tell all the panelists here probably went through that, was very hard because we were not prepared for that. That the reality that we found in our daily lives now is a reality that was not presented to us in school. And still we find the same thing. You see the students sitting with their back to each other, not communicating, often not using technology, not developing the skills that they need to develop. And this brings danger. We see here a few provoking images uh, of things that are surrounding us. COVID is an example, right? We see people saying, one day people say you use the mask. The other day they say, don't use the mask. One day they say, you should do this or you should do that. The scientists don't know what they're doing. So they lack the awareness that this is how science works. We evolve. We know one thing, then we study more, we know better, we correct our mistakes, we keep moving forward. We have nowadays movements like the Flat Earth Society, people that believe that our planet is flat. And if you go read what they say about that, it's hilarious. But it's not that hilarious because there's more and more people believing in that crap. Or the moon hoax, or anti-vaccination, or you take everyday people, you go around and you know that COVID is out there, and you see people using masks, but they use the mask below their nose. Or if they have to sneeze, they take the mask out so that they can sneeze properly. So you see that people have no critical thinking. They don't think critically. Well, Gustavo already spoiled a little bit my next slide, but so I won't devote a lot of time on this one. But if you think a little bit, what these people had in common, or what all of them have in common, right? So you can claim several things. If we were face to face, I would ask you more carefully, what do they have in common? So, well, they all had a teacher, or several teachers. And we can clearly say that some of those teachers failed miserably because they become horrible human beings without the capability of taking wise decisions. Human beings that have no value, no sense of anything. And this is just some examples of people that everybody knows. What about the people that not everyone knows? And this teacher is the person that is in charge of everything. A teacher is not an encyclopedia. A teacher is not someone who enters the classroom and will recite content to the students. A teacher is someone who has the power to inspire students. It's a person that can facilitate learning. It's a person that will not only share knowledge, but they will learn from the students as well. They will listen to students, or should listen to students, and provide advice. They have to support education. They have to attend students' needs. They should be the ones showing the way to the students. They are our most important travel companion. A teacher, and this is something that I've been fighting for a long time, is the most important science communicator we have in our lives. A teacher can make someone believe that they are the best person to become a scientist or they won't have a chance. A teacher is the most important profession in the world. I apologize for those of you that are not teachers, but your profession is not the most important profession in the world. It's in classrooms that we decide the future of this planet. And I say, this is a very hard job. And if you don't feel like you are capable of doing the things you will see in my presentation, please stop being a teacher. You're causing harm to this planet, into the future of mankind. So we don't know who are the future leaders of the planet. They are entering school now. And if you are a good teacher and if you are an inspirational people, every one of your students can become an influencer or a very good leader for the future. We have to think, how do we want them to be educated? We want them to be feeling like, oh my God, I have to go to school to understand that school is an obligation, or they have to be very aware that school is a right that was granted not so long ago. We have to be sure, to make sure that students are at the center stage. They are the important part. It's not the exam, it's not the test, it's not the book, it's not, I don't know, you can number thousands of things. It's the learner that have to be in the center. They have to be critical thinkers. They have to become science literate humans. They have to be able to make critical decisions informedly. And they have to know that they are responsible for our survive as a species. Because if they don't think about that, we are going to disappear very quickly. So if you think about, okay, but I have to prepare students for their future, I ask you, what is the future they are going to find in 2030? There are several studies out there, and some more than others, but these numbers are numbers that you find everywhere, that state that 85% of the jobs that are going to exist in 2030 have not been invented yet. And if more than 50% of the jobs that exist right now will disappear. So how exactly are you preparing your students if we don't know what the future is? This is a research that you have to do, and it's not a very easy one. So we all learn, I think everybody in this audience learn, to write and to read what we call calligraphy. And I'm pretty sure most of you didn't have a tablet when you are in primary school. Well, babies have a tablet right now, and they are native digital humans, which we are not. And we have no idea what are the things that they are going to be using in the future. So there is not a chance that you can properly prepare them. But if you forbid them to use these tools right now, then you are teaching in the past. You should find a way to travel in time, and you are going to be an amazing teacher in 3 centuries ago. Not now. Now students need you to prepare them for the job that they're going to have. They're going to need to know how to solve problems, how to communicate, how to be critical thinkers, how to explore without fear, how to be versatile readers, how to be resourceful learners, so on and so forth. So what are the instructions of use? You need to understand that if you are scared of technology, students are not, and you shouldn't be as well. If you don't know, your students know, and that's perfectly fine. That's okay. There's no harm in a student knowing more than you do. You should be aware that what's important for your students to acquire is the 21st century skills: collaboration, critical thinking, creativity, learning to learn, etc. They need to acquire human skills: tolerance, patience, education, persistence, positiveness, resilience. They need to understand and to be able to be self-tutors using 21st century methods, which is something that is very rarely used in schools. Students will need to be prepared for the unexpected. We don't know what's coming. And at this moment, we saw with the bomb with COVID that most teachers in this planet weren't prepared to work with the students online. Most people in their own profession weren't prepared for that. And you can ask why, if everything was there. And we're not talking about those countries or those areas in the planet where people do not have access to technology, where people do not have access to computers. We're talking about countries where a teacher would have a phone, a tablet, and a computer and good internet, and yet they had no idea how to work with their students online. So this is something that is truly important, and it just uncovered, COVID uncovered this shameful reality that we don't know. And not knowing is not a problem. It's not a shame when you don't know something. Not knowing and knowing that you don't know and not finding a way to learn, that's very shameful. And you should be ashamed if this is your case. We also have to face this horror picture here, which is the Sustainable Development Goals. And I mean, if I was going to travel back in time and tell my past self that today we are still facing these problems, I wouldn't believe myself, because we are in the 21st century and still we have to handle poverty, hunger, bad quality in education, lack of equality, lack of equity, lack of tolerance, lack of justice. I mean, you continue. And this is something that is a priority for all of us. So your students need to be prepared to kill this so that this is meaningless in a very near future. So there are several recipes out there. This is just one list of 21st century skills. You can just Google 21st century skill and you can choose the recipe that you prefer. You know, the foundation literacies, the competencies, the character qualities. There are several places where you can find inspiration for that. There is now a different IQ. It's no longer called IQ. It's called digital intelligence coefficient, which is your capability to be a digital citizen, your capability to be digitally creative, and your capability to compete in a digital environment. This is universal things that everyone should have. It's a framework that the student need to acquire to be successful in their future. So if you look on the internet for this framework, there is a whole list of what it means and how you can achieve that. In Europe, we have, for instance, the European Commission telling us about the digital competence profile of educators, of students, and for the schools in general. So what is a digital schools? What is a digital teacher? And what is a digital student? And this is not a naive thing. This is tools that people need in order to thrive in their future. Has nothing to do with curricula. It's a general thing that everyone should possess. So how do you equip students with that? Well, actually, they don't need you. They just go to the internet. There's several things there. There's several sources of inspiration for students, but they don't have one thing. They don't have experience. And that's why the teacher is the most important profession in the world, because the teacher is the one who will walk alongside the student and help the student make wise decisions. A teacher is the one who will help the student build and create the most important capital, the science capital. So in 2030, what will be important for a student when they look for a job is what they know, what they think, who they know, and how they think. This is the science capital. This is what defines a successful person. It's not an exam that is done once in the whole educational career. So schools have to stop being built in isolated classrooms where pupils are sitting with their backs to each other and not communicating and not collaborating and not learning to self-regulate and not learning to express their views, to put their questions, to challenge the teacher and challenge each other. It has to be a place where students feel at home. It has to be a place where students say, Yes, I'm waking up. I have to go to school. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to learn a lot of things today. If this is not the case of your students, what the hell are you doing with your students? This should be the way to learn. It's the only way we learn. Otherwise, you are just having machines memorizing things that will serve them for nothing. Classrooms need to be modernized. Every school has rooms that can be transformed. You just need walls, tables, chairs, and a lot of parents willing to bring new stuff to the school and giving kids the possibility to create an environment where they feel more comfortable, giving them the possibility, the freedom to learn the best way they find, with the teachers as tutors, as travel companions. Schools need to be a place where you talk about diversity, tolerance, solidarity, equity, equality. If we are not taking care of that, who will? So when I first prepared this slide, and it's a slide that I like very much, I had this first picture here because I thought, oh, that's very nice. Different skills together in the same table to make a very nice and clever product. But then I looked better to this picture and I realized that all these hands are white men. And so this is not okay. And why does it have to be like this? And again, I am a very privileged person and I get to know people from all over the world. And it's our diversity that makes us so special. If we combine our diversity, we are invincible. So people have to learn to do that. And these are things that we easily forget. So how do we do all these things that I'm saying? You use a methodology that is a marketing methodology. So when a company is launching a new product, if they want to be successful, they have to make a market study. They have to get to know their audience and see if they are good clients for the product they are designing, and if the product is being designed in according to the capabilities and tastes of the client that I want to serve. Well, your students are your clients. You are selling for no money, of course, the knowledge or your experience or the possibility to learn. But if you don't know your students, how can you possibly do it? So again, design thinking is, I can give you examples. When you go to a supermarket, the way that things are distributed in a supermarket, they are not naively. No, so you will find some products that are exactly in the line of sight of your vision. If you find, for instance, if you go for the sweet part, the sweets, you will find that most of the sweets are below the level of your eyes because they are for kids. So things are designed in a way to please the consumer. The colors are important. The way they are exhibited are important. So this is not done naively. There's people studying every move we make. Where do we look? So what do you think is the worst place to put something in a supermarket? Is in the door behind your back when you enter. Because very little people will look at that. So it's the less expensive place to put any advertisement. So things are designed. People think in the design of things. Well, we have to think about the design of things that we are doing. So I'm stealing Yannis' very talented drawing here from the project Global Science Opera for Schools, which I'm very privileged to be a partner. And it's a methodology that we also used for a project called Open Schools for Open Societies, and we are using also for Reflecting for Change. And we, as Nucleo, will be available to support everyone willing to test how to do this in classroom. Actually, we've been doing this for the last 3 years with amazing results. So what is this methodology? So you first need to feel who is your audience. You get to know them, okay, which is something that I hate that I can't do with you. Actually, it's not because of the number of people we have here. It's because the format of a conference is not the most warmly welcoming one to do this feeling part. We had a course with the team from the IAC and from the CSER educational team from ESAC, and the team in Fraser from National Schools Observatory and Folks Telescope. And during that training, we had at times more than 150 participants, and we did a lot of design thinking with them. So we got to know each other. We got a feeling of the teachers, who they were and what they needed to learn, and we provided what they needed. So a very nice community of teachers emerged from there. So we feel your audience, you get to know them better. I can tell a few things from yourselves just by looking at the chat and the questions that you are posing, but not as much as we would like. After you know who your audience is, you imagine a solution, something that will suit the different people that you are handling with. You create a solution, and then after you test it and it works well, you share with the others your recipe. This is how you educate children. If Fraser is a good student, and I know Fraser, I know that he likes beer. So I know that in a good conversation, I put a beer in front of him. So I know that he will be relaxed. He likes to walk, he likes telescope, he likes astronomy. So anything that I'm going to teach, I'm going to involve to put these ingredients. I know that Bernard Fine likes a violin, he likes classical music. So I get to know the people I'm working with. So anything that I'm proposing is taking on board these ingredients, okay? Otherwise, I will fail. You have to know the learning style of your students. Some people are visual learners. Some people are auditory learners. Some people like to read. Some people like to write. Some people like to move. So you need to know your students. What is the learning style that they have? You need to know their personal characteristics. Besides that, are they creative? Do they think critically? Do they have good numeracy skills? Are they tolerant? Do they have initiative and entrepreneurship, etc., etc.? You need to know where they're coming from. What is their cultural and social background? If you don't know that, you also cannot take them to the limit of their capability. You also need to use the universal design for learning. I forgot to write up, so I apologize for that. This is the universal design for learning. You can find lots of information about it on the internet, which is giving meaning to what you're teaching. So if a student is to learn, first of all, the what they are learning has to make sense to them, and you have to represent it in a way that makes sense to them. If you cannot do that because you don't even understand what's the purpose of that thing that you are teaching them, don't do it. The how you present is also very important. You have to provide many different means so that people have the freedom to adopt the approach that they like the best. And also the why. Why are students doing it? All of the things are very important, right? It's a lot. Yes, nobody said that being a teacher was easy. It's not. It's the most important profession and the most challenging profession in the world. If you don't want to do all of this, stop being a teacher. Okay, so I have been with thousands of teachers in my life in I don't know how many countries, and they always tell me the same. Okay, great, I'm inspired. But you don't know my school. I don't have money. Can you imagine if I tell my colleagues that I have to do all of that? What about the parents of the children that I teach? What about the principal? How am I going to tell them that I need to change everything? Well, I have news for you. It takes a village to raise a child. If you don't work with your headmasters, with your colleagues, with the parents, with members of the community, if you don't find a team, a group of people that will help you be the change agents, you will not educate your students. You will not succeed. Well, of course you succeed. Some students do succeed independently of you. But we're talking about those people that do need you really, really very deeply. And there are several things that you can do. So this project Reflecting for Change is building a whole framework where we help schools identify what are the needs, and not only help identify, but also help design the path towards fulfilling those needs and implement the plan that is designed. So this is what we are volunteering to do and to support you with. The OECD put this framework for a better life. And again, you can say, okay, this is an astronomy conference. We're talking about education. And now you come with a better life initiative. Well, again, it takes a village to raise a child. And if the village is sick, it won't help the child to grow. So you need to heal the village. And this is what you need to do. And how can you do it? in school by becoming a hub of the community, the knowledge hub, the hub where children are going to find not only the problems, but how to solve those problems and how to make that community grow and thrive. And believe me, nothing is more powerful than a determined child. Okay, so pay attention to this. So it's looking at the global challenges, but finding local solutions, getting to know what are the problems in your community and what are the powers that you have in your community. Do you have a Martin Henry in your community? Do you have a Yanni in your community? Do you have someone that can enrich what you can do with the students? Do you have someone that is an expert in biology, in medicine, in mechanics, in ICT, in cooking, in changing diapers? Just use this as an asset to improve the training and the teaching that you can provide to the students. And then you tell me about, okay, what do I do with the curriculum and all the exams that, I mean, I cannot say to my principals or to the national agencies, yeah, fine, Rosa told me this, so I'm no longer preparing them. Of course you have to prepare them, but think before you're doing it. You don't want this picture. This is a picture of what happens to people when they came out of school. You kill everything that is a scientist inside of them. We are natural born astronomers. We are natural born scientists. What is it that we'll forget all of this? It's in school. So you don't want this. You certainly don't want your educational system to be managed and valued in an Excel spreadsheet. Shout out, no, I don't want that. That's not how you manage an educational system. That's not how you test kids. You test them with new and modern trends for education. You are not alone. You have colleagues in your school. You have the parents. You have members of your community that will certainly help you make the change that you need to make. So you can collaborate with your colleagues. You can collaborate with other teachers. You can promote what we call interdisciplinary learning. The child entering a classroom doesn't need to know if you are a math, a physics, a biology, a Portuguese, history, geography, arts, music teacher. It doesn't make any difference to them. Work together and make learning meaningful to them. Give meaning to that learning. So if the student is learning from that experience, it will be, if it is contextualized, if it is something resembling real life, they will learn much more. And you can do that with your colleagues. And we are here to teach you, to train you on how to do it. So instead of having beautiful balls that have unique colors like math, physics, biology, geography, mix everything together. Reality is so much beautiful if you do that. Okay, so make the inquirer that is natural born with us grow up continuing to be like that. Every picture that you see here is using inquiry-based learning. Inquiry-based learning is using the scientific method in classroom. So in every picture, the person is using the steps of the scientific method. I'm curious, I make my hypothesis, I test my hypothesis, I collect the data, I analyze the data, compare with the hypothesis. If I'm successful, I will communicate and I will discuss with others. This is how people learn. We are born like this. So help children not to forget that, okay? So, oops. How do we do that? We have to change the classroom. And there's plenty of projects out there that are helping us with funds to develop the necessary tools to test these methodologies. We've been very privileged to be involved in several of these projects. And what we've been doing in Global Hands-on Universe and Nucleo is making every project in which we are involved available to anyone in the planet that wants to hop in. And thankfully, lots of people have already joined hands with us. So this makes it a very successful enterprise. These are just examples of more than 100 projects that we saw passing by already, and each project is enriching the previous one. We are no longer talking about STEM. We are talking about STEAM, art is a very important part of learning. We cannot leave it behind. It's not a very important, it's not something that you add on to make STEM more appealing. You start with art, and from there, you develop STEAM. This is how people do when, for instance, a scientist is trying to convey an idea to their colleagues. Often they use the resource to artists to help them materialize their vision. This is something that is also something that is very innate. And it's not just about training the teachers, it's also about supporting them. For some time now, we are perfecting the 5 pillars of community building, which is something that Global Hands-on Universe brought to, at least to our knowledge. And that teaches us that you have to engage the teachers, you have to train them, you have to support them, you have to accredit their effort, and you have to build a community around them. And this is being done, and through all the way, science is being delivered to the hands of the students all along the way. For 30 years now, students are discovering supernovae, asteroids. They're studying Jupiter moons, studying solar activity, studying the black hole in the center of our galaxies, studying Cepheid variables, discovering exoplanets, studying stellar mass black holes, and all of this through hands-on universe hands for 30 years. And still is not something that is done in every classroom. And it's for free, and it's there, it's accessible to everyone. And I keep asking myself, why teachers are not using it? 30 years later, still only a very few teachers worldwide using it. You can inspire your students to learn by using robotic telescopes. And there's so much time available there. Fraser is going to give you a workshop on that this week. You can empower them using data that is available for scientists, the gravitational waves data, exoplanets data, black hole data. It's just to name a few of them. So again, I ask, why is it not being used? I really don't understand. We are all made of stardust, and we know that we come from the life cycle of stars. Most students don't know that. Human beings don't know that. How is this possible? So you can use space as a source of inspiration, as a source of promoting careers that are connected to space exploration. You can fulfill your curricular needs by using astronomy and space as inspiration. There is nothing in the curriculum that you cannot teach by using space or astronomy as inspiration. And you can try me on that. I bet you won't beat me on finding good examples for every topic in the curriculum. So in the end, we do want science literate individuals capable of taking decisions and understanding our place in the cosmos. We want girls to understand that science is for them as well. In some countries in Europe, this is not a problem. So like in Portugal, it's not such a big problem. But it is a big problem worldwide. If you go to some rural places, or in Africa in particular, there is very little women in science. And the reason for that is because they think it's not for them. They think this is just a man thing. And this is so wrong. And it's an image that teachers can change. So in this link up here, you will find we're changing our website, but you already find there what we call Team of the Month. It's in Portuguese and English. And this month is a topic about female scientists sharing with them, with the audience, their own personal stories on how they became a scientist. This is part of a program called Soapbox Science. If you haven't heard about it, try to find it in your country. There are female activists, female science activists in several countries in the world. So take a look around you if that exists or not. Engage your students in collaborative international efforts. This is how scientists work, trying to find innovative research opportunities and experimenting old experiences like the Eratosthenes one. Every year, we run this project in partnership with our friends in Greece. And this year, the experiment will run in September 22nd. So take a note, go to this website. Again, this video is going to be in YouTube, and you will have this links available to you. Go to Galileo Teacher Training Program webpage, which will also be renewed very soon, or so I hope. And there you will also find all the opportunities, training opportunities that you have. The next one coming up is a teacher training event in partnership with the Caesar educational team at ISAC in October this year. We're going to have an online training with the team. Again, the Canary Island team will participate, the Fox Telescope and National Schools Observatory will also participate. The next one will be in January with the team in Australia running COSPAR. So keep tuned to these opportunities and make sure that you make your colleagues and yourself understand that science literate citizens is the key to a sustainable future. Science is universal, uses only one language, requires collaboration and cooperation, demands that people share what they're doing, otherwise it's not science, requires that people support each other, foster key skills, and empower free thinkers. Astronomy, above all sciences, is the essence of what we are. And in the end, what you have to think is that it's all about us and all the choices that we all make. So I leave here a few links and my email. We are available to help you whenever you want. So please make sure you keep tuned and you support us, because without you, our efforts go in vain. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Rosa, for this amazing talk and inspiring talk. Well, actually, you've made me actually question my role as a teacher. Well, although I'm a university teacher, I'm about to retire. And also even questioning the overall actually educational model. And hearing you actually talking about this, and you coming from Europe, what can we say actually, we in the third world, in developing countries where things are not yet developed and so on. So there's a lot actually to discuss here for a global model of education, that no child will be left alone, and where we could actually give access to education to everyone on earth, and teach them the values, the universal values actually that need to be taught everywhere. We do have some questions. Let me just go. But some of the colleagues here, they are wondering whether you'll be sharing this presentation, this wonderful presentation. Maybe you'll do this maybe online, or they will have.
Yes, we can find a way to share. We cannot put it online. I'm still having a very bitter taste of one image that inadvertently one member of my team put online without copyright, and we are suffering a lot from that. So I have to be careful with the copyright issues, but I'll be glad to share privately with everyone. Unfortunately, although I do think that this would be very beneficial to all the teachers to have a presentation like this, I fear.
In any case, the video actually of your talk will be broadcast.
The video is going to be
in YouTube, and so on.
It's going to be in YouTube,
and whoever wants actually they could contact you on private.
That is correct. They have my email. I'll be very delighted to share.
Yeah, Paolo Leme, he said, outstanding talk, dear Rosa.
Hi, Paolo. Nice to see you here.
Yeah. So what's your suggestion to deal with evaluation of students facing the new way of educating them? Mm-hmm. Well, this is his question.
That's a very pertinent question. The thing is that actually we have a very good Secretary of State here in Portugal for education, and in a conversation with him, we realized he was sharing his views, and it seems that, I know this from other studies as well, that if you don't focus on the knowledge content, but you develop the skills in students, and then you give them freedom to prepare for exams themselves, they will succeed. I mean, they won't be performing better than those students that are memorizing things, but in 2, 3, 4 years to come, they will still remember what they learned. And usually when you prepare them with the necessary skills, the learning comes naturally. So that doesn't mean that you forget the curricula. That doesn't mean that you don't follow what your school has to do, that is the national strategy. You just change the way you educate. If you collaborate with your colleagues, for instance, imagine you're going to teach about the sun, and it's in the curriculum of the mathematics, the biology teacher, it's in the curriculum of the physics teacher. And of course, the mathematics teacher can adapt to that, and the art teacher and the music can adapt to that. If you build a very well orchestrated plan together, you can save time and you can give more time for students to work independently. COVID brought this opportunity to us to use projects like OLAB, where students are using individual learning spaces and where they are evolving at their own time. You can use the flipped classroom, where the students are going to watch inspirational people talk and then come into school to discuss and do exercises. So you don't have to turn completely your back to the rules that you must obey. You just need to equip yourself with the necessary tools to make sure that you are providing to the students what they need. You will need to work more than just a regular, I mean, it's more, there's no pill to take, you can make a golden pill. There's no such a thing. It's more work for the teacher. And that's why I tell you, if you're not willing to do that, stop being a teacher, because you are wasting the time of the students. A teacher needs to be a person that from the bottom of their heart, they do want students to learn, and they have to go the extra mile. And this is to go the extra mile, is to work more, but it's not work more for a long time. Once you have a set of material covering the full curricula, and you learn how to work with your colleagues, you will actually save time. And I have this experience with students and schools in Portugal. So there are ways of doing that. Invite me to your country. I will train your colleagues, champion teachers, and create this cascade effect that we learn from Global Hands-on Universe so well, and that is working so well worldwide.
Yeah, thank you, Rosa. Another question from Alvaro Folhas. He says it's urgent to change school's model, not just focus on each science, but knowledge as a whole, promoting students' development instead curricular contents. But how to change deciders' minds?
It's very difficult. You have to use the bottom-up approach. As I said, it's hard to change their mind, but if you show examples, if you show yourself success stories, like Stories of Tomorrow, Open School for Open Societies, Platon, Island Diversity, which are projects where we have been investing in this methodology, it will capture the attention. And students are not only learning, but performing well, because now they are motivated. So there are ways. The way to change will change the people that you elect. Find other people thinking more modernly, choose wisely, and prepare the future generations. It's not easy. And Alvaro, I know Alvaro very well. I'm very privileged to call him a friend. And he knows how to do it. He's being a change maker, but it's not easy. And it's not always recognized. And you have to be like the man who planted trees. You plant the seed, but you don't look back. You hope and that, behind you, you are leaving a forest, but you don't know if you're doing that. This is the only way to do it.
Yeah, another question from this time from Soham. He says, or she says, I don't. So what is your opinion on the comparison between regular classroom learning and online classroom learning? Do you think online classes are affecting student-teacher relationship, especially in third world countries where internet and necessary technology is not that good? So basically it's a comparison between online and face-to-face.
It's a very important question. Of course, face-to-face is always better than online. But online, you have to assume now the role of a tutor. I mean, I'm talking to you online. I'm having an influence on you. because I know a little bit about yourself. Actually, I know a lot about you because you're here. So I can draw a profile of yourself because you're here at this insane hour for some of you. So I know something about you and I know how to interact with you. So design thinking, what is it that I need to do in order to fulfill what I need to fulfill with the students? If necessary, go back to writing a letter. You know, there are ways of doing things. It is not as good as face-to-face, but it's not impossible. And if you only have a little time, with, for instance, we have this project called GoLab. Again, it's a project that I'm deeply involved, and we are training teachers in a few countries in Africa. And COVID came when we were starting the efforts in Uganda. So all our plans to go there and train champion teachers there went down the drain. So we had to train them online. So what did the trainers do? So the trainers were from Kenya with our support, but the Kenyan teachers did an amazing job. So they use WhatsApp, they use Google Classroom to share the material, and Google Meet to have a few online meetings. And I tell you, they performed much better than many teachers and many countries where we had 25, 50 hours of training with the methodology that they used. WhatsApp group, it's been used widely in Africa, and it works really very well, like with quizzes, with Mentimeters, with Padlet, with, I don't know, I can continue the whole night numbering tools that people without very good internet are using, and they're thriving in promoting learning.
Yeah, thank you, Rosa. So we still have like 8 minutes for the next talk. I have a question, so I don't have any other questions from the audience. I'm wondering in your opinion, what type of training we should give to teachers?
On top of what?
Training for teachers.
Training,
so,
yeah.
Because now we are training them for the curriculum and so on.
Yeah,
Do we need to change this way of training of teachers? And so if you were actually as a decision maker, what would you do?
So you need to do everything. So the problem is that at universities, teachers, professors are not using the method. Even universities that are teaching innovation in science, they are teaching it by reading books. So I cannot teach inquiry-based learning by reading from a book or showing a slide. If I want to train a student on using inquiry, I need to use inquiry myself. So when we train teachers, we use inquiry-based learning. They are engaged in the whole methodology. We do with them what they have to do with the students. So we had this project called Platon. It's platon-project.eu. And maybe Gustavo or someone can put it in the chat so I don't lose my focus here. And in that project, what we did was we mixed inquiry-based learning, interdisciplinary learning, assessment when you are teaching using these methodologies, and content. So we mixed everything in the course. Usually we have different courses. For instance, we would have one course for astronomy where we introduce teachers on basics on astronomy, but for them to learn, we do inquiry with them. So for instance, I'm going to introduce about constellation. I use Stellarium. I don't tell them what a constellation is. I don't tell them what is the format of that particular asteroid. I let them find out. I don't tell them what's happening when there is an eclipse. I let them find out. So we do inquiry with them. So you train the teachers on the methodology you want them to use. And the thing is that when you're introducing astronomical concepts by using inquiry yourself, the teachers will learn much more and deeper. So the training of university students need to be as the same. This presentation can be for a teacher, a school teacher, or for a university professor. It's exactly the same thing. There is no difference.
I have a question. If you
Go ahead, Bernard. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I think it's a great comprehensive talk, and I've learned a lot about the new development in pedagogy, in teaching. Now, to prepare for 21st century, I agree with you, we have to develop this digital culture, but the 21st century should keep all the previous centuries.
Mm-hmm.
How do we maintain, for instance, hands-on in the students? So that they go and use their hands, that they go and observe nature, and also that they are social individuals, that they keep citizen skills. So at the same time, we spend more time in digital techniques, but how to maintain also all this knowledge from the previous centuries.
Yeah, that's just simple. You have to maintain it. I mean, when we do training in astronomy, we have a genius teacher here who creates very good hands-on activities with astronomy, all inquiry-based, and we accoplay the hands-on with the digital. I never said to make everything digital. Never, ever. That's not the idea. Even when I'm talking about GoLab that has online laboratories, it's not to replace these laboratories with a physical one. Not at all. Everything needs to be used. Not only that, I also teach teachers not to leave the students sitting down. They have to perform, they have to sing, they have to dance, they have to do what Yanni does so well. They have to knit, they have to paint, they have to sing, they have to write. Everything is valid. Everything is valuable. Technology is just that cannot be just hands-on. And technology is important because you can enhance everything with technology. For instance, in the project Stories of Tomorrow, we'd had kids building a Mars colony, and they would use augmented reality to integrate that in their digital stories. So it's everything together. We, by all means, never, and not only that, you don't also forget the science that was learned centuries before, or everything has a place, but that's history. And nowadays, what's happening is that most of the teachers in this planet are teaching history. Because if I'm in the world of radio astronomy, gravitational waves, black holes, exoplanets, and I stop at Newton, I'm teaching history, which is valuable and very important, but I cannot stop there.
No, we have also to make history.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we only have 1 minute left for the next speaker. Thank you again, Rosa, for this
pleasure.
wonderful talk. And
thank you everyone for staying behind.
Yeah, thank you very much, Rosa. So our next speaker is Amanda Bauer. I think she is with us. Oh, hello. How are you, Amanda? Welcome. Let's just wait for 1 minute so people to relax, and then we'll come back just in 1 minute. So we start at exactly 11 my time, which is 10 your UTC.